Yeah.
If anybody can hear this, we're having
I can hear
technical.
you.
There's some tech. You can hear it now.
I can hear.
All right, they're having some technical difficulties. I guess we'll just go ahead and do it this way. So.
Test, 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 test.
The sound is distorted.
Can y'all hear Mr. Maloney?
No.
No.
Try that with the mic. All right. We're gonna have to do this a little bit different. The time is now 4:19. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We will call this meeting to order. Our secretary, Ms. Kiefer, could you please call the roll?
Yes. I have in attendance right now, John Black, Ava, Candace Patman, myself, Ron Williams, and Ashton Williams. If I missed anyone, please let me know right now.
We have Kamal Shlan is here as well.
Okay, very good.
Can you hear me? This is Shirley Robinson.
Yep, now I can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Shirley. With Miss Shirley, we do have a quorum.
Yes.
I do have one amendment to the agenda under other business. I need to add a TPAC resolution presented by Parker Poe. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
Eva Prelo, I move that we accept the agenda as amended with amendments. With the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the public comments. We do have 2, 3, 4, 5 public comments that are all lengthy, that are specific requests for feedback presented from the various neighborhood meetings. So we will enter those into the record without reading them. We'll move right along to Office of Small Business Opportunities.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will start off with the numbers of SLBEs that we currently have. Right now, we're sitting at 7 architectural and engineering, 45 construction, 40 non-professional services, 64 professional services, and 6 wholesale, which puts us at a total of 162 SLBEs currently. Last week on March 13th, OSBO attended the pre-construction meeting for the Sunset Drive Sidewalk project, and there was a goal of 18% set for that project. Also last week, we hosted our first in-person workshop titled Contracting with Richland County, Small Business and the Procurement Process. There were 46 attendees at this event, so we were really excited about that. And we also received great feedback from the information provided at this event. Up next, we will have our second virtual Lunch and Learn series of the year. And that event is titled Ready, Willing, and Able, The Power of Go by Tori A. Stalker, which will be held on Thursday, March 28th from noon to 1:30 p.m. This is a virtual Zoom event, and Tori will be discussing how to turn the spark of an idea into a reality. And anybody interested in that, you can register via our website, richlandcountysc.gov. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, LaShawn.
Chair Black,
Oh.
I have a recommendation. I
Yes.
attended a community meeting, and at the last meeting, I asked about going out and being proactive in reviewing your bus stops for repairs or what have you. And there was some questions at the community meeting about some bus stops in the Lower Richland area, and I believe he said primarily at Eastover. I don't know, I don't have those direct locations or addresses for the bus stop, but their concern was these bus stops doesn't have shelter. So therefore the community, of course, you know, when it's raining or hot or whatever, so weather impede upon those locations, it's causing some concern. But I will follow up and get some addresses and have them to, who do I give those to? Am I with the right group here? This is comment reporting, right? Right.
No, you're a little early.
I'm
You're a
early.
little
Okay,
early.
sorry about that. I realized as I was talking, I'm like, I think I'm saying it to the wrong person. Okay, so Jackie, that would be for you. So I wouldn't have
Okay.
to. Okay. So sorry about that. I'm trying to jump ahead. That was due to my brain is 25 minutes into the meeting, but we would have been at your
Gotcha.
report. So it's for you, Ms. Bowers.
All right,
Okay.
I'll follow up with you on those locations.
Okay.
Ms. Bowers, the floor is yours for the comments.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I will start the comments report on item A, which is the Davidson Floyd permitting project. And we'll go to page 2 to go into the details. So first we have the completed sites. There were none for this period. And for the approved sites, we had one shelter, which is located at Decker Boulevard and Quiet Lane. And that's the one where the property owner requested the shelter, and we're waiting on the shelter to come in. We had to place an order for more shelters. And for sites currently under permit review, there's one shelter we're still working on the one at Midlands Tech, northeast location. So now, all documents have been processed by SC admin, and they're just waiting on the staff meeting in June to get the final approval from SFAA, which is a State Fiscal Accountability Authority. So we're waiting on the final approval from them. Next page, page 3 of the Davis and Floyd report, sites and design. There's one shelter at Crane Road in Lincoln. That's Upper Fairfield Road, which is like the Lincolnshire area. So that one's new. We presently have a bus stop there at that location, and it was reported to us as a safety issue because the bus stop was at a ditch. So when we went out and looked at it, we just requested a bench and a shelter to go there because there is no shelter in that area at all. So that is on the list for a bench and a shelter. And as far as the benches, under the sites and design, there are 5 bench locations. And we are still presently working on the one at Hardin and Rosewood. We did contact a member of the Shandon Neighborhood Association. And now we did contact someone with Blue Cross Blue Shield because their property is also joined with this area. So we have to get their input as well. So that's what we're waiting on. Okay, so that concludes the bus stop amenities. Now I'm gonna go to the ridership. For the ridership for February, we had 132,246 total riders for February. Compared to February of 2023, it was 150,528. And also compared to the previous month, which was January, it was 134,034 riders for January. So there was a slight decrease from month to month. Okay, the next ridership report is the average daily ridership. So on this particular page, it shows the monthly ridership for each month of 2023 and also for the first 2 months of this year. And also it shows the average daily ridership for both 2023 and 24. Next, we have the USC ridership report. For February, it was 44,384 total, compared to January, which was 38,094. So there's like a 6,290 passengers that was different. Okay, so the last 2 reports are our financials. If you have any questions as far as the financials, our CFO is on this meeting call. She can answer any questions. Other than that, I am finished with my report unless there are questions.
Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you, Miss Jackie.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move to transportation, starting off with Mr. Maloney. But before we do hear from him, I would like to say I attended a meeting last month out in Hopkins, and someone got up and spoke and made reference to the penny and how the transportation pretty much does what they want with the money. I just want to reiterate that that is absolutely not accurate. that the projects are approved from council and implemented by the transportation department. So I just felt it's necessary and important to point that out. So without further ado, Mr. Maloney, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sitting here with all my friends. It's a lonely world, but I've got the monthly report up. Are you able to see that on your screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So starting with maybe I'll stop sharing. Starting with the Bluff Road Phase 2. With that project, we've got a new project manager on it, Alexander Burton. And the design continues with Parrish and Partners. And that's has a drawing here that shows the limits just south of the Williams-Brice Stadium. And then, you know, heading out almost to the interstate where it's already widened in that last block to I-77. So that's the resurfacing area and the new traffic signal and infill sidewalk more up in this area. We're reviewing the CERN 2, which is funds left from the CERN project, the master plan, and completing the new road that went in. I think here is depicted pretty well in the green line on that map. Also, Alexander Burton is taking that. What it's showing is where there is sidewalk, and then it's going to be taking it on up to Trotter. So we'll have to get that map updated for CERN 2. But with funds remaining from CERN, they're able to put this other sidewalk in. And that, I understand, will be going to DOT for an encroachment permit, which will be the review process for that project to go to construction. No right-of-way is needed for it. Likewise, with the neighborhood improvement plans like CERN, there's also Trenemaker's Newcastle neighborhoods. And with that, there's several miles, in the 4 to 5 miles of sidewalk going in, including all along Shakespeare, and then up through and also connecting to Park Lane. That is going in through an encroachment encroachment permit with DOT, so that we can get that to construction this year. Lower Richland Boulevard, working, Dr. Ali Durrani is working with Mead and Hunt there, and that one is waiting to get to right away. So that one still needs the purchase of right away. And Polo Road widening, we took a lot of input from District 8 on that project when we're reaching out to various districts on the Penny projects, on what the current Penny is doing and things that they would like to see. So we did get a lot of public comment in those meetings in that particular district about signs for the subdivisions and things that they're hoping will remain with the project. And Dr. Holly's going to get a drawing out so those people that attended the meeting can get feedback. He's also, Dr. Ali and Mead Hunt also were working on the long project of 5-lane widening out on Shop Road that will include bike lane and sidewalk on each side of the road. Again, this is about 2 blocks short of I-77 all the way to the stadium area. And that is getting into the right-of-way acquisition location where we need the ATP to buy right-of-way. On the greenways, we're working on the Crane Creek project, and that is this section, right? It's actually along the river, and that is coming from the kind of the dam overpass up to the location of I-20. And that is awaiting some final comments and plans to get to the city, as well as their land disturbance permit and a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers environmental permit for where that's locating on the high ground on the eastern bank of the Broad River. And no updates on Polo. Windsor connector from last month. Alpine sidewalk and resurfacing is in construction. We completed packages S&T of the resurfacing, and Dr. Ali is now putting together bid package U, Underwood for resurfacing. So, Blythewood area improvements. There's a connection at Blythewood where Creech goes south and McNulty goes north. And it's new pavement, sidewalks, and curb and gutter on McNulty. And then a brand new road, Greenfield Road on Creech. We found that this lower section of McNulty that goes by McDonald's and Carolina Wings has easements on it. It's been declared under easement or under maintenance by DOT and the county, but right now it needs a land acquisition. Our intention there is that we go to council with that, and that would be taking the right-of-way, county right-of-way up to a point and a curve, and then all that'll be bid out as one project from Creech to the first part of McNulty until where it's DOT maintained, which would be the eastern block of the road. So that'll be all county bid out here. DOT has requested we put a new signal where there isn't one where Creech and McNulty come to Blythewood Road. They've looked at the impacts for the off-ramp and the other signal that's just downstream of it. And I believe that will be necessary for left out off of Creech onto getting back to the west or to the interstate. Garner's Ferry Harmon intersection is complete. I was out there last week. It looks good. Grass is growing. That was the final stretch of that project. Screaming Eagle and Percival Road is complete. Broad River Corridor NIP is still in design, preparing for right-of-way. Decker Woodfield NIP is a project Michael Green's been working on. Some of these segments are complete, but this blue segment in the middle here is Brookfield Road sidewalk. There is a sidewalk on the southerly side of the road, but on the northerly side, there's a new sidewalk going in that gets up to Northeast Columbia, Northeast Richland High School. And then we have to get back to, we have an agreement for easement across rec commission land to put in the Chatsworth connector. And then after that, there'll be one part of the NIP left, which is at intersection improvement with Decker Boulevard. Michael also launched the Kelly Mill Road project. And that's in preliminary design, where the preliminary designs have gone to South Carolina Department of Transportation for review. So he believes that'll be about a year and a half before that's at the point of going to construction. Sunset Drive has a groundbreaking coming up. That project is going into construction. Sunset Drive sidewalk, curb and gutters included along the sidewalk, connecting River Drive, the end of Broad River Road, with a block off of West Main Street. So that's coming up later in the month as far as a groundbreaking event. Atlas Road widening, the recommendation for award is going to Transportation Ad Hoc here in the month of March. So we'll have some briefing documents to get to council that are already in circulation with staff review at this time. Last neighborhood improvement projects is Crane Creek neighborhoods. And again, we're looking at that for any right-of-way needs. If not, we're taking it to an encroachment review with DOT, which we understand would get it to construction much faster. So all those larger sidewalk projects that don't require right-of-way are going through that shorter process. Current dirt road project is in construction. They were clearing and everything on and doing the storm sewer work and ditches along Howard Kugler Road. Along Nathan Ridge Road, and then moving into Jackson Road next. Then they'll be doing Howard Kugler and Sarah Matthews projects next on that, but they're working in the District 10 projects right now. And then this lists all the different years 1 and 2 and years 3 and 4 projects that are in review right now for getting on lists. Some of these, as I pointed out last month, are already completed. So we'll give you an updated list of the projects that we're looking at and the status on the right-of-way or consent denial process, depending on where the project's at in schedule. Broad River widening project, going to 5-lane with sidewalk from Royal Tower, which is the lower part of the project here, closest to 26, on up to Woodrow, which is right there where there's sort of a southerly moving fork of Woodrow there. So it'll be sidewalks on both sides of the street to that point. Throughout it's 5-lane with a wider outer lane. And then we are in right-of-way acquisition at this time. The project manager, Ted Thomas, is working on clearing this southern length, Woodrow down to Royal Tower. And there's interest by the utility companies to start relocating this year ahead of the construction bid to get the once those easements are acquired and in place for them. So he's trying to get a lot of focus on that. But they're also the right-of-way specialists are talking to residents all the way up the corridor, and they're preparing offers and checks are being prepared for those that have accepted. Pineview widening, again, this is similar to Atlas, it's going from Shop Road up to Garner's Ferry with 3 lanes and a new one new signal at American Italian Way. And that is at right-of-way acquisition stage, the beginning of it. And Spears Creek Church Road is also ready to go to right-of-way with DOT. So 5 lanes from I-20 up to Earth Road, and then 3 lanes on up to Two Notch Road. Clemson and Sparkleberry's one where we had a public information meeting last week. We had a lot of positive comments about this. When you look at the intersection, it's the last remaining intersection project. All others are complete and closing out. This one has a really nice design where there's added turning lanes at pretty much every point in the intersection to help alleviate traffic and create better queuing areas for them. But new signals will be going in. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but here and at this location. So those signals don't exist at this time. So in a way, it's really redoing the major intersection of Clemson and Sparkleberry, but using, I believe, Sparkleberry Crossing to add additional signals and to help move traffic and provide less out of that area. Gills Creek Greenway, working with the city on that. And the final comments, we need approval from SCDOT on our major crossing of the street here at what's essentially Garner's Ferry. And Mr. Thomas was able to work with Midlands Tech to put a spur over above the wetland area that would connect to the Midlands Tech parking lot, who they're working on a plan for some area that can be dedicated to the trail along that outer edge of their parking lot. No new information from last month on that. Rocky Branch, I believe the city would prefer to call that, as that's the area that was approved by council, is Rocky Branch. Percival Road sidewalk, we're just waiting for authorization to get to construction, nothing new there. Bull and Elmwood intersection, the project is substantially complete in construction. It's going through a shakedown process of looking for things to improve the signage and pavement markings. The thermoplastic permanent pavement markings and lane lines are not in yet. They'll be putting those in after hours. But what's in there right now is temporary pavement markings and permanent signage as we look at how the flow is working there. Main Street widenings and closeout. And then we met with the city today to talk about the bike projects that they have through an IGA that they'll be managing about 8 projects that have funding for them to continue with. And that's the end of our report.
Does anybody have any questions for Director Maloney?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So the Garner's Ferry and Harmon looks good. It really does. It's just beautiful to see. Unfortunately, looking across the street on the side of Garner's Ferry and Horror Hill. You're coming off Garner's Ferry and you're turning right on Horror Hill. That section, is there any plans to do anything in that section? Because the turn is so narrow, it can lead to some collision or something happening there because the road has some potholes, and I don't know if the water company came out and did some work there in the section, but it's just a really narrow turn. And so I'm concerned about some form of collision happening there. You really have to slow down and not hit so that's Garner's Ferry, and I'm turning off of Garner's Ferry right on Horror Hill, so it's the opposite side.
Okay, the south leg.
Yes.
We can pass that on to DOT. There wasn't any more to this project, but we did have other comments I had one come in on Saturday that indicated, there was a water main project. This was further in on Lower Richland Boulevard, south of Garner's Ferry also. And that, there was some work being done there. I can check on Horror Hill if there was similarly some work done that would have made the road worse. Is it narrower than normal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Director
Hey,
Malone.
John, I actually do
Yes,
have
sir.
a question. If
Yes,
if
sir.
it's not too bad, I want to see, can we back up real quick to Richland County OSBO? I just have a quick question about the trainings that they have.
Is
The
LaShawn still on?
LaSasha, yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, just have a quick question. For your trainings, how do you guys market that? Is it via email blast, or how are y'all marketing those trainings?
Oh, yes, we do. We send emails, and we also go through our public information office.
Okay,
Can you
that's
hear
what I
me?
want. Yep,
Oh.
I can hear you now. Yep. But
Mhm.
yes, you said emails and public information office.
Our PIO office, they do the marketing for Richland County.
Awesome. Okay, because I know I've seen a few of those trainers on Eventbrite, and I think I saw a few with City of Columbia as well when they send theirs out. So I just didn't know
Mhm.
what all other ways you guys market it. So okay, that's awesome. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, I will add to that we do have our newsletter that goes out, and then our community partners, they will send like the events that we have coming up, and they'll distribute it to their directories as well. So we all work together on that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And my apologies, LaSasha.
It's okay.
Anybody else have any other questions? All right. Thank you, Director Maloney, and thank you, LaSasha with OBO. Next, we're going to jump down to the TPAC resolution that is presented by the law firm of Parker Poe. We have Mr. Ray Jones and Miss Emily Luther here, and they're going to share some information with you.
Coming closer so they can hear me, John.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yours is better.
You got one? Cool. Proceed.
Yes.
So folks, we're just making sure that everybody present has a copy of the documents that Chairman Black has already distributed, which is a draft of a resolution as well as what we call the Penny Roadmap. And my name's Ray Jones, and my partner Emily Luther and I are here. We have been representing the county for a number of years on all things sort of tax and finance, and have been working with them really in earnest for the past 6 months, thinking about not current penny, but maybe thinking about the next penny. And so County Council started talking about scenarios and just things that could be important for the next penny. They sent out an RFP to have a transportation needs assessment done, which is almost complete. and late last year took a vote to authorize staff to start looking at options for another penny. And so where we find ourselves now is the county council recognizes that a lot of voices need to be heard if the voters are going to be asked to take the step of voting on a new penny. And so, as you all know, the council has its own transportation ad hoc committee, but we've had a number of council folks suggest that they also want the input from this group, and to get the benefit of what y'all hear in the communities, of what you've seen and heard and dealt with in connection with the current penny. And so as we have worked with the council, we've come up with two things that they're, one of which they've already approved and one they're going to consider tomorrow night. The item that they are have already approved is what we call the roadmap review, which is a series of dates, some of which, as we indicate, would require specially called meetings. There's an important set of deadlines that the council is working under in order to get this on the ballot in time. And so the state mandated deadline is August the 15th. In other words, council has to have done its work. The folks that are working on the transportation needs assessment would have to have done their work, and including they're asking TPAC for its input to also be completed within that same time frame, so that they can then give everything they need to give to the election commission by August the 15th. So there's a lot of steps in here. There's a lot of parties. If you're looking at your roadmap, I see your colors are slightly different than mine, sir. So hopefully I won't confuse you. But everything that's in orange on the roadmap is a council meeting of some sort. So, and as you can see, some of those meetings are anticipated to be special called meetings. Everything that's in green is a transportation ad hoc committee meeting, which is a committee of council, which likewise it is contemplated to get all the work done in time, that they would need to have some special meetings. And then the yellow boxes represent the Transportation Advisory Committee and requested special meetings of the Transportation Advisory Committee, subject to what this body and what Chairman Black would recommend. You'll note that the requested special meetings of the Transportation Advisory Committee are intended to sort of line up with when the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee meets. The goal would be for this body to be in a position to provide advice and to provide its suggestions to council and the Transportation Advisory Committee in time for council to take all that into account before that August 15th deadline. So one of the ways to kind of get that started, and Mr. Black, we were talking earlier today about what is the charge of this body? And y'all may or may not know, but that, the charge happened back in 2012, where council was asking you to do things with the current penny. And so the idea was that council needed to give a very clear direction on what to do with the new penny and how to help them look at opportunities for the new penny. And so council is going to entertain a resolution tomorrow night that would do just that, that it would acknowledge that they need advice and assistance in looking at projects and in looking at ways to prioritize projects. Council has a notion that all of the needs that are sort of bubbling up from the study, which are being done by some of the same folks that worked on the current penny. Stantec, maybe an engineering firm you've heard the name of course, Mr. Maloney in his office, but they've identified a number of needs in the community, and we can have Mr. Beatty come and explain sort of how he got there. That's not our part of this equation, but those needs, as you can imagine, are billions of dollars, billions with a B. And we don't know whether or not a penny would be enough to pay for all those needs, but we know that there needs to be some thoughtful consideration of all the needs to determine which of those needs actually need to become projects that are paid for by the penny. One of the things we've discussed with council and would look for input from this body on is coming up with some principles about what's important. How do you figure out how one need might be more important than another need? And we're suggesting to council that they need to filter all the needs through a set of principles. So for instance, and these are examples, these are things we've shared with county council too. There's a work session that's recorded we gave last Tuesday. If you want to go back and watch it, it is an hour and a half of sheer joy. You'll enjoy it. But in that hour and a half, we talked about examples of principles. For instance, safety. Do we want to prioritize certain elements of safety? It's been oh, I heard a person tonight bring up, was that intersection safe? Well, so thinking about certain safety principles would be some of the principles that would be applied to this long list to figure out what we get after first. Another issue that we've heard a lot about, and while we don't have a direct role in managing the penny, we certainly want to do all we can to give the county good advice. We've heard a lot about projects that were expected to have been done with the last penny, but for whatever reason hadn't been done. So one of the principles that could be suggested would be, let's take care of things that are left over. Let's get those taken care of. Another set of principles, or the kinds of things we've talked about, would be thinking about where is the growth happening and where might the growth happen in the county. You all are, I'm sure a lot of y'all have lived here just like I have, and you look around and, who would have thought that Blythewood would be growing like Blythewood is growing 15 years ago. There are parts of southeastern Richland County, where I'm from, that I don't recognize anymore because of the growth. And I'm talking about the number of people that live there. And so one of the principles we've suggested to the council is to reserve some money to make sure that we're able to take care of things that we don't know about yet. Like the next big industry, God forbid they have another flood, something like that, where we have money set aside. So those are examples of the kinds of principles that I think the council is looking for some advice on from bodies like this, who've had their hands in the soil on the penny. And so the point of the resolution that they're going to adopt tomorrow night is to send some clear direction to TPAC and to the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee about help that council is looking for in order to get this done. There's some specific areas of help that they're going to request, and might ask Emily just to talk about some of the specific things that council is looking for assistance with. And then we can take questions. And then ultimately, if council adopts this resolution, we'll bring it back and we'll start talking about what do we do next. And certainly the schedule that you're looking at, it's not set in stone. These are anticipated dates. These are things that we hope can happen if it works for you all. So if you say, man, we can't meet on April 1, that's okay. This is a schedule that we hope can be attained, but if we have to deviate from it along the way, we understand that. But what is it the council is going to ask for help on, Em?
So in the resolution, as Ray mentioned, the council would look to the TPAC to help it analyze the needs assessment. And so, if there's something that, as you guys are out in the community or that you've observed, may need to be added or considered to be added to the needs assessment, or looking at the needs assessment and saying, maybe we need to add more dollars to these programmatic things. So it would be taking a fresh look at the needs assessment that has been developed by Stantec with the input of the several municipalities that this body also represents, and then also the Council of Governments. So taking a look at the needs assessment. Then next, as Ray mentioned, it would be developing those principles. And we envision, I think you had developed some principles for execution of the 2012 projects. There would be some principles that would be applied to executing the 2024 projects that come from that needs assessment. So council would be looking to this body to also help it articulate those principles, some of which Ray's shared that have already been discussed by council. And then additionally, if council decides that the needs assessment presents a body of work that is best funded by Penny, it would look to this body to help make sure that the ballot categories, so what questions and what projects and categories are identified when you present the question of the penny to the voters, what that looks like, to make sure that it's a representation of the citizens filtered through this body to council when it goes forward. So again, that would be what council would be asking of the TPAC to take on in the next few months before it goes to the referendum.
And there could be, as we were saying, telling Mr. Black earlier, the resolution that's on the council agenda is a draft. I mean, we anticipate, based upon the conversations we've had with council, that it'll be favorably received because this reflects some of their discussion and direction. But it could be modified, tomorrow night. So we didn't want to bring you something as if it was written in stone, because it's not written in stone yet. But we're hopeful after tomorrow night that their request of you will be absolutely clear. And the only thing I would add to what Emily said is, they're asking that both the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee, which is a committee of council, and the TPAC take the next 2 months to take a look at these things and try to have the work done by June 17th. Is that right?
Yes.
And again, the reason for that is there's got to be time for council to then take it all, put it all together, put it in an ordinance, you know, and the role of council is then to say, we're calling for a referendum on the new penny. And these are the things that it would take care of. These are the needs it would take care of. These are the projects it would take care of. And this is the categories the voters would see on the ballot. Y'all would be involved in giving a lot of hopefully good advice on all of that. And our goal would be to come right back to you if they adopt this resolution and say, we're ready to help you in any way we can. Mr. Maloney is certainly helping any way he can to enable you to get what you need to do the work that you've been asked to do.
Does anybody have any questions?
I guess we need to see what council's gonna do tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Um,
We didn't want to be a surprise to you. So,
yeah. I mean, before we can kind of really make any comment on it.
That's right.
Mr. Black, I guess I was gonna mention it earlier, this, I see not a lot of people attending this meeting. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, so we actually do have, as far as members today, let's see, we do have 8 here, so we do have a quorum.
Out of the 15?
Out of the 15, technically 13, because there's 2 or 3 openings still on the, so we, you know, our attendance has improved, especially with the new appointees that have come on board. So we are now in a better position to provide that citizen input to council that is essentially what our charge is.
I think the email that was supposed to talk about how you know, if you don't want to attend in person.
Yeah, whether it's in person or on Zoom.
I guess there was a code for the Zoom meeting and the password. I don't know how many people got it today, but I didn't, but I was planning to be here anyway.
After this, make sure, I'll double check that we have your email straight, so we can make sure.
I got this from you.
But you didn't get the other meeting.
Exactly, about and I'm sure that I didn't get it, other people didn't get it.
I got you. It might have been in your spam file, because what I did was I copied all the 2s in the email. I just copied it. So if you received my email, it come from the one that had the Zoom link. But I'll get with you after this to make sure.
Looking at the number of people that I'd normally see and I didn't see today.
Gotcha.
And that's another thing. What we trying to discuss in the future, I think that's really important that we have more people participating.
I agree. And one thing I'll point out too is, at this point, we don't know what council's going to do tomorrow night.
That's true.
So it's like, you know, it would be nice if we could say, okay, yes, we're going to schedule a meeting for April 1st, May 6th, June 3rd. But at the same time, we don't know what council's going to do yet. So I will say this, I have spoken with Administrator Brown as well as Council Chair Mackey. They both reached out to me today, and I told them that, you know, this is a good opportunity for us to be involved and to truly provide the citizens' input back to council, which is ultimately what we're charged to do. So although it would be improper for us to make any kind of a motion or pass any kind of thing, I think if the general consensus is we support this effort and what this new charge would do, then unless there's any objections, I will share that with both Administrator Brown and Miss Chairperson Mackey.
Okay.
And again,
I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the future.
I got
have
you.
more
So,
participation.
so once county council, when they approve the resolution, at that point, I imagine there's going to be some kind of internal meetings with, like myself and Vice Chair Ms. Prelude and the Secretary Ms. Kiefer to kind of help coordinate some things so that how we will move forward. So if we do end up calling a special meeting for April 1st, you know, at least that by that point that we will have our ducks in a row, and that then we'll be able to present something to the committee of how it's going to work going forward.
Well, we would plan to let you know. I mean, even we can email you tomorrow evening if they vote yeah, just so you know.
Gotcha.
And,
I'll probably be there, so
okay.
you can just slip me a note.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, so at this point, you know, everything's kind of tentative. Just like the next part of the agenda is our next scheduled meeting. So at this point, our next scheduled meeting is April 15th. However, there is subject to a special meeting before then, depending on what happens tomorrow night. But again, at this point, all that's premature until county council makes that decision. And then we'll just kind of go from there. And once we figure out a plan or get a plan worked out of how the information is going to come to us, how we're going to sit down and go over it, whether it's, I won't even get into it. But so at that point,
I'm just saying, you know, as a new member, and I'm sure the other new member haven't gone through this before, that and a lot of this is new to everybody.
Yes.
If we can make sure that everybody gets, this way everybody can do their what they're supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
And help out.
Yes, sir.
I know this is important to get it fast, and the money is needed. So I'm sure everybody that agreed to be on the committee want to do their best.
Yes, sir. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, Chairman Black, Ron Williams here. I did get a chance to take a quick review of the flow chart that you sent over earlier today, and not intense, but I took a quick review of it just before getting on the meeting. But in terms of and I know everything is tentative, but is there a portion in there that would involve the TPAC committee at least having hear some of the public input to better be able to advise on the items that we're talking about going forward? Is that component incorporated into what the idea of the plan is going to look like going forward?
Yes, please.
Hey, Mr. Williams, this is Ray Jones. So
hey, Ray.
One of the things I think would be really useful for this committee to hear, or one of the folks that would be useful for y'all to hear from, is David Beatty with Stantec. Stantec has already undertaken 11 or 12 community meetings. They've got a summary of the community feedback, which I think would be really useful for you all to see. And then, of course, almost every one of these meetings, well, no, all of the meetings are public meetings at which, if folks have direct input, they're certainly entitled to submit that direct input. And I still think Stantec is receiving through a website or through an email address, still has open the public comment on projects that they've been out in the community discussing. But we'll make sure that's gets to this committee.
Yeah, because I attended a few of the community events that was held, and I think I heard Mr. Maloney said I think he gave some comment toward how some of that went. I heard some general things, but the meetings were kind of designed that they were drop by meetings, and just my personal opinion is that I'm not sure if that was the most effective way to glean information, because you kind of just walked into the meeting. There wasn't much instruction given in terms of what it detailed or what type of input was given. Some was, don't get me wrong, but I just think that's a very important part of we're going to help design what you have outlined and what is going to be proposed on tomorrow night. Then certainly that would be good for us to have some direct insight from the community. So just suggestion there. Secondly, I heard Chairman Black said that he would attend the meeting tomorrow. Is it wise for members of this committee to attend the meeting tomorrow as well?
That's of course all residents and citizens are encouraged to attend, but I was going to be there for another reason anyway, so that's why I will be there. But at this point, I would probably suggest, with the potential of us having multiple meetings, you might want to sit tomorrow night out, or you can watch it from home, because I'd imagine that well, again, I can't say, because we're not sure how the information is going to be distributed and whatnot, all the logistical aspect. But it's completely up to you if you want to attend or not. I don't believe it's going to help us, and I don't believe it's going to hurt us. Let me put it like that.
Perfect. I think I understand. Yes, I'm a faithful watcher and often attender of the county meetings, but yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have any questions, but just a few comments. I'm certainly in support of the referendum and this new revised amended. But I plan to attend the meeting. I plan to be there tomorrow, as well as reach out to the two council representatives for the area that I'm overseeing for this TPAC committee. But again, that I see that this is really a good path forward. It gives us more interaction and involvement with the need assessments and going out to the communities that I've experienced questions about a lot of the projects that are supported by the penny tax. So I'm certainly in support of it. And again, I plan to be at the meeting.
Very good. We could sit with each other.
Yes.
Anybody else have any comments? Mr. Maloney has his hand up. Maybe he's lonely in that other conference room.
I just wanted to let you know I'm still alone here.
Yeah.
But like Mr. Williams' question, I think there'll be, no matter what happens in the future, you'll be happy the way the information's organized, whether it came from a particular town or a particular agency or the public, and it's organized like that. And I think that's very helpful the way they did it. And there was certainly more to glean behind those comments, but we did have of those 11 meetings and others, some really good feedback on projects and things that we initiated this study to look at what the penny has gotten done and what remaining needs that are out there with the public. And it definitely shows there are other areas, other intersections. There's a lot of intersections people want to have looked at. So there was really good responses in writing. We're sending back the information sheets. So Just to appreciate that, that level of input from the public that we did get from some estimated 200 and some people, I think with some 100 and some comments that were officially signed in. There was something said too about what the penny doesn't get done, and that would go on this, other list, but I want to remind everyone that all the projects we're working on are the ones that are approved by council. The funding appears to be there, barring any unforeseen, continuous huge inflation of some sort, but they're all scheduled to be done. The projects will continue perhaps for as much as another 5 years. That we're completing in certain areas. It certainly winds down to a small amount of projects at that point. But, there's things that, that haven't launched, just, a couple of them. One, was something out by the county airport, for instance, that hasn't launched because there's really not a need right now, and there may not be in the future. So, and Shop Road Extension Phase 2 is in planning, so the design hasn't launched. But so those will continue to be funded by the penny we have. And I just wanted to let you know that that's kind of separate and apart from what will be a funding source for any future projects.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? All right, that being said, the time is now 5:22. We will adjourn this meeting, and I imagine we will be in contact with you soon. Thank y'all for attending, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Night.
Thank you, Mr.